What if I told you there was a way to stop hair loss and even drastically improve growth? And yet, there's zero need to take a hormonal DHT blocker or use messy liquids every day. There's zero side effects, and it's 100% natural and healthy for your scalp. If you didn't know already, that way is using specific scalp massages. But there are a few key things you need to understand before you get started. Let's take a look at why scalp massages boost hair growth, which scalp massages work best, and of course, how to do them. So to understand how and why scalp massages can be a key to reversing hair loss, we need to start with some basic anatomy of the scalp area. The galea aponeurotica, or simply galea, is a tough, fibrous layer that stretches across the top of the head, sandwiched between the skin and skull. It takes its name from the strong resemblance to a helmet, which is what galea means in Latin. Galea connects two main muscles at the front and back, as well as indirectly some smaller muscles on the sides of the head. The first of the two main muscles is the frontalis muscle, roughly covering the forehead. This muscle allows us to do things like raise our eyebrows and wrinkle our forehead. The second one is the occipitalis muscle at the back of the head. This pulls the scalp back and smooths the forehead after the frontalis muscles contract. These two muscles act antagonistically to each other. When the frontalis contracts, it pulls the galea forward, and when the occipitalis muscles contracts, it pulls the galea backwards. The galea serves as an attachment point for the frontalis and occipitalis, providing structural support and stability. It also allows mechanical tension from these muscles to be distributed across wider areas, reducing tension on any one point. There are two major pieces of evidence tying the galea to male pattern baldness. The first is that only areas overlaying the galea go bald. The hair parts on the back and the sides of the head that overlay muscles are immune to baldness. You can basically visualize the galea by looking at the head of a Norwood 7, the most advanced stage of baldness. All the hair that's been lost corresponds roughly to the galea. The hair on the back and the sides still there lies outside of the galea. Remember, we said that one of the functions of the galea is to absorb and distribute the tension from the connecting muscles. Well, this tension is not distributed evenly across the galea. In 2015, a groundbreaking mathematical analysis modeled the tension that the frontalis and occipitalis muscles exert on the galea. The results were revealing. Parts of the galea that experience the highest tension, notably the frontal hairline, are also the ones that typically bald first. Areas with intermediate tension in the crown typically start to thin afterwards, and those with the least tension lie on the top of the head, between the crown and the frontal hairline, and they are the last to go. You can see this in this graphic. On the left side is the result of the analysis. Lighter colored areas have the highest tension. On the right is the typical progression of pattern baldness as per the Norwood scale. You'll see that the match is almost perfect. Statistically, the chances of this being sheer coincidence are less than 1 in 1,000. So the big question is why? Why is it that scalp tension in the scalp leads to hair loss? To answer this question, we need to introduce two new pieces of the hair loss puzzle. The first is inflammation of the scalp, or microinflammation as scientists call it. This is to distinguish it from other forms of inflammatory scarring, alopecias, which devastate the hair in a rapid and irreversible way. The microinflammation seen in androgenetic alopecia is subtler and progresses in a slower, chronic fashion. It's easily visible under a microscope, concentrated in the upper third part of the follicle area. There are various hypotheses as to what may be driving this inflammation, including microbial toxins and androgens, but an increasingly popular view links the inflammation to the chronic scalp tension we just described. This process is called mechanotransduction, the conversion of mechanical stimuli, in this particular case tension, into biochemical signals. In the case of hair loss, the signals are an overexpression of pro-inflammatory molecules and androgens, notably DHT. The tension also triggers the overactivation of a signaling protein called transforming growth factor beta 1, or TGF beta 1 for short. Normally, TGF beta 1 plays a critical role in tissue repair, but when it gets out of control, it can cause various problems, including fibrosis. By fibrosis, we refer to a process where normal tissue is replaced by stiff scar tissue due to excess collagen. Collagen is a structural protein that provides support and elasticity to the scalp. But when it accumulates pathologically, it can choke out the hair follicle. You can see this, for example, in scars from injuries. These are literally your body laying down dense collagen fibers to recover the skin's integrity. And if the scar is in a hairy area, the hair won't grow back. There are also pathological fibrotic processes that we see the same thing, most famously scleroderma. This is an autoimmune condition where the skin hardens and tightens due to excess collagen, and the affected areas also lose hair. In the case of baldness, the fibrotic process is driven jointly by the overactivated DHT and TGF-beta1. Blocking DHT in your system with finasteride or dutasteride will typically freeze the fibrotic process but won't reverse it, which is why the best case scenario with a DHT blocker is typically stopping the progression of baldness. Regrowth is usually minimal or non-existent. Another consequence of fibrotic buildup in the scalp is impaired blood flow. That balding scalps have markedly decreased blood flow compared to the general population has been known since the 1980s. But with the recent advances in understanding the pathology of hair loss, we can now link this impairment to the underlying fibrosis with a fairly high degree of certainty. This understanding also helps us explain why minoxidil is better than a placebo, but not really that effective as a treatment. You see, minoxidil dilates the blood vessels and allows more blood to flow, boosting circulation of the balding areas by up to 300%. The problem is, this boost is only temporary, lasting up to 90 minutes, all while the fibrotic process keeps on gaining momentum in the background. An analogy for minoxidil's monotherapy is like being on the board of a sinking ship with a breached hull and pumping the water out into the sea. It buys some time, but the end result is predetermined. To truly treat baldness, we must shift our focus from secondary fixes to interventions that target the problem at the root. And the root of the problem, as we've described it here, is neither the impaired blood flow, nor the DHT, nor the fibrosis or inflammation. The root cause of all this pathology is mechanical tension to the scalp. And the simplest, most effective method to alleviate this tension is to regularly massage your scalp. Just as massaging can relieve cramped or tense muscles in your arms or legs, it simply relaxes the muscles around your scalp. Over time, the massaging action will also help directly break down the fibrosis, allowing the blood to flow better and the follicles to spring back to life. It's also completely free of side effects, and the more you massage, the better results you can expect. I'll get back to this shortly. A basic but effective way to massage is with a shampoo brush, but you'll also hear this referred to as a silicone brush or scalp brush. This is a simple, inexpensive tool that can give you great results. The soft silicone bristles will directly stimulate blood flow to the scalp while simultaneously relieving the tension. Though it's called a shampoo brush, we actually recommend you massage with the brush before getting your hair wet. This is because wet hairs are more likely to break with friction. Using a firm grip, cover the entire head, focusing particularly on the balding area. Aim for 5 minutes, after which you can shampoo as normal. At this point, you can use the brush again to gently rub the shampoo in before rinsing off. The scalp brush can also be used instead of your fingers to increase the absorption of the topicals like minoxidil. We've made a video on the correct use of a shampoo brush, and you can find that linked in the description. If you prefer not to use any tools, you can use your bare hands for the massage. Although manual massage can be quite strenuous and tiring on your arms, the benefits are worth it. For a basic massage, place both hands on either side of your scalp. Firmly grip the scalp and move your hands in a circular motion, alternating between back and forth and circular movements. This helps create various creases across the scalp. By moving one hand while keeping the other fixed, then switching hands, you can effectively move and loosen the entire scalp. You can also place one hand at the front and the other at the back of your head. Always use a firm grip to avoid raking your skin and pulling out hairs. After a couple minutes, you can transition to the squeeze, also called the pinch massage, using one hand to pinch the skin gently and hold for a few seconds. Repeat this action across the entire head, keeping your fingers 1 or 2 inches apart. At first, this might be challenging if your scalp is tight, but it gradually gets easier. Perform this massage all over your scalp, not just in the affected areas, for 1 to 2 minutes. A variation on this is the two-handed squeeze. Place the fingertips of both hands 2 or 3 inches apart and repeat across the entire head, even in areas not affected by hair loss. In the scalp shake technique, you can grasp the scalp with both hands and shake rigorously back and forth. This helps loosen the entire scalp and improve blood flow. Although your arms may tire quickly, it will become easier with time. Start with 30 seconds and gradually increase the duration as your arms adjust. Now, as you might have guessed at this point, the one major drawback of scalp massages is that you can quickly tire out your hands and arms, especially when you consider that on average, you'll need around 36 total hours of massages to see results. This was the finding of the largest study on scalp massages to date. This surveyed over 300 men with hair loss who were manually massaging their scalp. Understandably, this can seem like an overwhelming mountain to climb. This is where a specialized device called the Grow Band enters the picture. The Grow Band works by lifting the scalp upward, easing tension along the edges while compressing and stretching the top to help combat chronic fibrosis. Thanks to its unique mechanism of action, the Grow Band massages your entire scalp simultaneously, meaning it's much more effective than manual massages. The latest generation of this device, the Grow Band Pro, is fully automated, removing any effort on the user's side. Simply position the device on your scalp, activate it, and let it work while you go about your daily routine. This helps you accumulate the required hours of scalp stimulation with minimal effort. Because the Grow Band treats the entire scalp simultaneously, the time you'll need to see results is drastically reduced. All evidence points to scalp massages working very well when done consistently for those with androgenetic hair loss. However, there are 2 points people use to argue against scalp massages. Let's look at them now. Some people ask why women don't have the same hair loss pattern as men. Do women have less scalp tension? No. The answer is that women have lower DHT levels. It's the combination of scalp tension and DHT that causes fibrosis. And secondly, people ask how hair transplants can work if the tension in the front of the scalp remains the same. The truth is, if a hair transplant patient doesn't take finasteride after the operation, those transplanted hairs will start thinning, just like the other hairs. It just takes time, around 5 to 10 years for fibrosis process to kick in if they aren't taking a DHT blocker. This just goes to prove that the location of the scalp is crucially important. Fortunately, scalp massages are a great way to prevent this. Just 10 minutes a day is all you'll need to start seeing results. For even better outcomes, combine Grow Band with a DHT blocker and a topical stimulant. Visit hairguard.com to start achieving natural and lasting results with just 10 minutes of daily use. The Grow Band Pro is exclusively available at hairguard.com. Do check it out today. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section below and, of course, like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.